Hello everybody, my name is Star Raptor and welcome to the channel. Every week I break down the latest in the Star Wars comics, TV series, and more. So before we get started, make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll never miss a video, you'll never be out of the loop with the Star Wars current releases. So with that being said and out of the way, I want to talk about the first thing we have is the Solo Blu-ray. So I picked up my exclusive edition from Target. This contained the 4K, the Blu-ray, and the digital code. I love the box art. On the back you have Han Solo there. It also comes with this making of sort of book here. It has some concept art in it. Let's see. There we go. Some cool concept art. So talking about the Blu-ray in general, right? So we have lots of bonus features, not as much as The Last Jedi, but that is okay because there's a lot of production problems with this movie. So they kind of skirt away from a lot of that stuff with Chris Miller and Phil Lord. But we do get into some really interesting stuff about the planets like Corellia, about how they film the car chase, well, speeder chase really, but they use cars, so that's really fascinating. They talk a lot about Chewbacca, that costume, about L337, her costume. Lots of cool stuff, especially they have this roundtable discussion with all the actors are just kind of going back and forth, a very informal chat with the moderator, who is Ron Howard, the director. So that was very fun. You know, it just wasn't the same as The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi had this really nice documentary, and The Last Jedi had commentary for every deleted scene, as well as an actual commentary and that whole version of the film with just music. So I would have loved to see that stuff, but you could tell they were kind of rushed on this one. This is more similar to like the bonus features that you would see on Rogue One, for instance. But there was one bonus feature that was included with the Target edition, which is only on digital, I think it comes in. And anyway, it actually is about the Millennium Falcon attraction that is coming to both Disneyland and Disney World in the new Batuu Black Spire parks. They were kind of hyping that up. Apparently you're going to be working for Hondo Ohnaka, and then some really cool hijinks are going to happen there. But yeah, it was a solid Blu-ray, and you know, this is definitely something you want to collect physical. This is going to be the best version, I think. They also have the similar version at Best Buy, but it's a steelbook, so kind of pick what you like. Do you rather have the steelbook or the art of type book? But yeah, I'm going to be watching this one many times to come because I really enjoyed Solo. Okay, moving on to comics, we have a heavy hitter, a big one that you guys have been waiting for, at least I have, and that is the final issue of Poe Dameron. We have issue number 31, and I love how Phil Noto designed this cover to include pretty much every character, I think, that we've encountered in the Poe Dameron series, even the characters that are no longer with the characters. And mind you, this will be very spoilerific. If you guys watch my videos every week, I don't hold back on the spoilers. So if you don't want to know what happens, you might want to skip this video. And yeah, so getting started, we are at a time of absolute peril. We have Black Squadron, which is being commanded by Snap Wexley. They're on this mission by Organa during the time of, you know, the Battle of Crate, or certainly after the Battle of Crate. Anyway, they are trying to get more support for the Resistance, more allies. So they go to this planet. It's already being kind of ransacked by the First Order. So you have both Sura Linda as well as Jessica Pava on the surface of the planet trying to reactivate the defenses of the city to try to, you know, ward off the Star Destroyer that's looming in the distance. So you have those two characters there, and then for cover you have Snap Wexley as well as his beloved Kari, or Kara, I'm not sure how you pronounce the character's name, flying in her X-Wings, trying to distract all the TIE fighters that would give them harm and do more damage to the shield, which is getting very, very low on energy, which will have the people killed if it goes down. So we leave off in the last issue where it's not looking good for Sura Linda, not looking good for Jess Pava. They crash land and they are not looking good, very wounded, both of them. So then in the meantime, we have Poe Dameron, who has received their distress call, right? So he is trying to make the case for Leia to have those guys on the Falcon go and help them. Leia's not having any of it, so we kind of cut back to what's happening, and they are losing on this planet. Both Snap and Carrie are versing a legion of TIE fighters. It's not looking good. Carrie's about to get gunned down. And next thing you know, you have Poe Dameron coming in to save the day with this unknown fighter. And with his help, the Resistance does in fact succeed, and they force the First Order to, looks like it flees. They at least destroyed Star Destroyer. I'm sure the rest of them the First Order get out of there, and now we have allies for the Resistance. And it's a very nice story where it kind of just closes very nicely. There are no character deaths, which I'm kind of indifferent about. I would have liked to maybe see one of the characters like Sir Linda die, just so there's risk, just so it could be like, okay, we've strived for this. But then again, that's saying that there wasn't any risk, which there definitely was. We lost Lulo, we lost Adi in this series, so there has been lots of character deaths. So Charles Soule didn't really need to do that, but I was happy with this ending. So breaking it down into more specifics, I want to talk about stakes being very high. You see these characters in absolute peril. 3 of the characters we knew, or 2 of the characters we thought could die, or yeah, well, let's say we have Carrie, Jess Pava, and Sir Linda. We didn't know the fates of, but we did know that Snap Wexley, thanks to Greg Gunberg, did say that he was going to be in episode 9 pretty much, so there wasn't a lot of risk with that character, because I assumed, well, he said it himself, he's going to be back. So I did like that whole epicness. This whole issue just felt like the closing chapter of a series, which they really did well with the art by Unzueta as well as written form by Charles Soule. I did really enjoy the conversation between Poe and Leia, and Poe was trying to get Leia to support him to try to get the rest of Black Squadron, because Poe makes the point that what makes the Resistance different than the First Order is the Resistance does care about its troops. The Resistance will go back and save their men. They will not leave any men behind, and Poe continually stresses that, right? So he's continually going around and trying to make this argument, and eventually Leia lets him go, but only him and himself only. So I did like that discussion about what the motives are for the Resistance. I also did like to see that every one of the characters in this issue had their chance to shine. You had Snap Wexley, you had Carrie doing their best in the X-Wings, you had Sir Linda as the wild card in Black Squadron. We haven't seen her yet in live action. Now I'm really looking forward to seeing her, because she's got this innate passive ability to actually spit venom, since she's sort of like a snake creature. So that was really cool how she did that with these First Order sympathizers who looked a lot like snowtroopers from the Imperial, from the Empire. So that was really fun. You see Jess Pava holding it together, gunning down all those sympathizers with expertise. And of course, you had Poe Dameron. I didn't think we'd see him again in this fighter with how we left him in the Millennium Falcon after the Battle of Crate, but we actually see him go into this fighter and literally just take out probably like 20 TIE fighters in a single row and use them as bombs to take out part of the Star Destroyer. So that was incredible. One of the biggest feats we've ever seen Poe Dameron do. So yeah, very nice stuff right there. I did like seeing the little detail about the First Order is lying to their other First Order personnel about what happened at the Battle of Dakar, you know, to their destroyer, what happened to Snoke. Apparently that's all being kind of brushed under the rug, as it probably would be for something like this reign of this Terra Force, as they're not going to want to know that they're getting weak. Even though they have thousands of forces in this galaxy, they can't let anybody know that they made losses, especially significant losses like they did with Snoke and his master ship going down. I did like seeing that the Resistance has new allies. This is the first time we're seeing stuff after Episode 8, guys. So now we're kind of seeing the puzzle pieces kind of setting themselves together in a way of what really happens after the events of the Battle of Crate. We're seeing this new people forming an alliance with the Resistance. Maybe that will be the Resistance's home base. We'll see. That's pretty cool there. Overall, this last closing statement that Charles Soule wrote for Poe Dameron's very significant, very heartfelt. It's all about Poe Dameron saying that it's not about the best pilots in the galaxy. It's not about being a Jedi Master. It's not about fighting the war. It's fighting your war and choosing what's right and not what's wrong in the light and the dark. And this very heartfelt kind of moment that really just put a cap on the story. And it's backed up by this amazing last picture of all of the characters from The Last Jedi mixed with the characters of Black Squadron that are, you know, on the Millennium Falcon. So Leia and Chewie and Rey and, you know, Finn and everybody. It looks incredible. And overall, the artwork has always been phenomenal. Angel Unzueta, he's such a good artist, and I cannot wait to see him do these Star Wars comics. He'll be moving over to the mainline comics. But overall, looking at Poe Dameron, 31 issues. It started off a little bit shaky with the whole dragon egg thing, but it did get way better. We have one of the best character villains in all of Star Wars, at least the media right now, which is Agent Kallus. His whereabouts are still unknown, so maybe he'll pop up in a further story. I'd love to see that happen. And, it did its job where I think it makes you care more about Poe Dameron, especially watching the movies. Now you have a lot of these other adventures that he went on in the back of your mind when you're watching Poe Dameron. You're understanding more about his personality, more about his character. So yeah, I cannot recommend Poe Dameron enough. If you like the Force Awakens era, the sequel era of Star Wars, you're going to want to pick up the different trade paperbacks of Poe Dameron. So yeah, gonna miss this one for sure. So next up we have Doctor Aphra issue number 24. This is part 5 of the Catastrophe Con. We have Doctor Aphra, we have Sign of Staros, as well as Captain Tolvin on their death path toward destruction on this vessel, the Crystal Jail. They are trying to get away in this escape pod. Aphra is trying to put Tolvin as well as Sana in there to get them to safety. Yes, she's actually thinking about other people other than herself, which is kind of interesting. She does have a heart deep down there somewhere. So she's doing that, and she's waiting for the arrival of Tam Pazla, who is actually going to pick her up, or at least leave her a shuttle, because we do find out that Tolvin doesn't want to take the escape pod with Sana and jumps out at the last moment. So now it's really Dr. Aphra, Lapset, who is that changeling, as well as Dr. Aphra going around. Dr. Aphra does connive the people and finds the lightsaber, as well as letting Lapset turn into Dr. Evazan, who is actually the target of Tam Pazla. That's his moral enemy. So that's how she bribes Tam Pazla to bring her the vessel, is she has Lapset change into Dr. Evazan, and she freezes him, not in carbonite, but this other kind of chemical, so that Tam Pazla thinks it's him, and he gets there and gives them the shuttle. So anyway, by the time they get in the shuttle, it's both Tolvin as well as Dr. Aphra. They get into this shuttle, they're taking off, and next thing you know, you have BT and 000 coming in on their ship. They're blasting them out of the sky, grounding them down to the ground. 000 is on a maniac killing spree, and then we have the Crystal Jail eventually collide or get very close to hitting the ground on this planet, and then they wonder why there is no crashing involved. It's because there's a tractor beam coming from Darth Vader's ship that is holding them there. And yes, we have Darth Vader appear. Then Aphra is basically saying, look, I'm never going to get out of this mess. I have information in my mind that is very valuable. So I'm going to just erase my mind, and that way I'm not going to be valuable to anybody. So that's what she does by the end of this issue. She finds the boar and is about to get her mind erased. So again, what a cliffhanger. This series always has cliffhangers. This one is a very fast, straightforward story. I think this whole arc has been very fast and straightforward. I will say that there were parts that kind of misled me with the artwork, especially the first couple pages with Tolvin jumping out of the escape pod. I wasn't really sure what was going on there. It was a little bit hard for me to understand. But however, I did like how there was a sense of urgency in this issue, because every couple pages or whatever, you would have a countdown saying, 7 minutes until impact for the Crystal Jail to hit the planet. Because remember, the Imperials had jettisoned a Crystal Jail because there was this crazy force-sensitive fungus that is still around and is causing havoc. So they didn't want to have anything to do with that. So you have that countdown going. I also loved seeing 000 in the middle of the field there and pulling out his knives and pretty much just slaughtering everybody who thinks he's just a normal regular protocol droid that's harmless. Well, you thought wrong, because this guy is genocidal, he is homicidal, he's just absolutely crazy. And speaking of that, I liked how this is coming together. You have all these characters that absolutely hate Dr. Aphra coming together in one place. So first off, it was Tam Pazla, who absolutely hates her guts. Then you have 000, who has been out to try to kill Dr. Aphra for a while now. And you have none other than Darth Vader coming to the same place that Dr. Aphra is at. That's going to be super interesting, although I don't think Dr. Aphra or Darth Vader actually had seen Dr. Aphra, because if he did, that would be nothing good for Dr. Aphra. So we're going to see where that goes in the next issue. That's going to be very interesting. This is a very crazy kind of series, but it's a crazy good kind of series because it's so far-fetched that it's just so fun, and I've really been enjoying it. So yeah, that's it for Dr. Aphra issue number 24. And finally, the last thing we have is from IDW, actually, and it is Star Wars Adventures issue number 14. So as always, we have two stories, or at least I think most of the time, there are two stories in this one at least. The first one is called Chewie's Day Off. So Han Solo and Chewie, this is after the events of Solo Star Wars Story, because you could still tell that they're using the young Han and the different bandolier for Chewie. They are just, going about their smuggling ways, and we have Han and Chewie, and they are delivering their cargo to this place, and, well, apparently Chewie's been stressed out, so Han Solo says, look, you need to take a break. So what does Chewie do? He goes to the spa for the Wookiees. Yes, that's right, he gets a little shampoo, he gets a manicure, and all this kind of stuff, or a pedicure, I guess that's for your toes, right? And eventually what happens is some guy tries to go kill Chewie. So the rest of this issue, or the story, we have Chewie just running around trying to dodge bullets. He eventually runs into Han Solo, who then also understands that he's in trouble, so they basically get the heck out of there, and it's one of those fast and straightforward stories for sure. Some things I liked about it were the moments where Chewie was on his own, and it was more like a silent film kind of thing, because also, not only did he just talk in Shiri Rook, you couldn't understand him, obviously, all that kind of thing, but the other people or things he was interacting with, droids, as well as other humanoids, were also using their language, which you couldn't understand. So it was all about the artist of the comic, portraying the body expression of what is actually going on with the characters. Pretty fun there. I also thought they did a great job with the dialogue on Han and Chewie. So that was that story. The next story we have is called The Spy Games, and this is actually part one of Flight of the Falcon. Before I get started, if you guys don't know what Flight of the Falcon is, it is like the next initiative for Star Wars storytelling. It's going to be told over multiple different medias. We have the Star Wars Adventure comics, like I'm about to talk about. They're going to tie into it. You're going to have a Lando's Luck novel. You're going to have this other pirate novel, as well as some source books. The Choose Your Own Adventure, Luke and Leia's story. They're all going to tie in together to show you a roadmap of where the Falcon started and where it kind of takes place now in the sequel trilogy. You have all these different stories kind of telling different things. So we're getting started with this one. And I think what ties these all together is it's a story about Bazine Natal. That is that bounty hunter that we see in The Force Awakens that alerts the First Order to the arrival of Han Solo at Takodana. So she is still looking for the Millennium Falcon. I believe this is after the events of the Battle of Crate. She's, again, I guess, working for the First Order. It's not made clear, but we can assume that's what it is. And she is meeting with IG-88. So yes, that means IG-88 has actually survived after the events of Return of the Jedi. We haven't seen him in canon since, I guess, Empire Strikes Back. So it's really cool seeing characters like that are iconic living into the sequel trilogy, or at least working, because he's not really living since he's a droid. But anyway, we have IG-88 telling Bazine Natal of a tale back a long time ago when IG-88 was tasked by none other than Agent Kallus. Yes, that's right. Agent Kallus from Star Wars Rebels wanted IG-88's help to track down Han Solo, who deserted from the Empire and caused some rebel trouble on Savareen. That's, remember, the Crimson Dawn are sort of working hand in hand with the Empire, so they lost their hyper fuel there, their Coraxium. So now the Empire is mad, and they're going to try to get Han Solo, and that's what happens is Kallus confronts Han Solo, and I'm not sure what planet it's on. It might be Tatooine. It looks like some desert planet. But anyway, Han Solo ends up getting away thanks to Chewie throwing this crate on top of IG-88 and Agent Kallus. They are able to scramble up the ramp of the Falcon and able to thread the needle between two Star Destroyers to then go into hyperspace. And that is how IG-88 loses the Millennium Falcon for the first time. So yeah, pretty fun issue, and I'm looking forward to more stories told with the Flight of the Falcon series. So that's going to do it for this week, but next week you guys can look forward to Star Wars issue number 55, which is going to be the conclusion to the Hope Dies arc, as well as a brand new comic miniseries coming out from IDW called Tales from Vader's Castle #1. So what did you guys think of all the new releases this week? Let me know in that comment section below. Also, if you're new to the channel, again, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That way you'll never miss another video. You guys can look forward to coverage from New York Comic Con coming next week. There's some Star Wars stuff happening there with a publishing panel, so I'm looking forward to that. So that's going to do it for me, Star Raptor. Thank you so much for watching, and and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at StarRaptor.